and the transcript has commenced. All righty, let me see if there's anybody else in the lobby. Okay, I think we're good to start. My name is Cecilia Hemley. My pronouns are she, her. I'm wearing a cream colored top and glasses, and all of my accessibility needs have been satisfied. I thought it just to get in practice for our, now that accessibility is top priority for us, just wanted to get into the habit of doing that. You will see additional Tyler, Colorado team members join the meeting, but I am your product manager for the Drupal platform. The content that we're going to explore today is content that we have touched in the past, with additional feedback that has come through to us through partner support. So if this is content that you have already mastered and you need to drop to another meeting, we really appreciate you being here. Again, the recording will be available. However, if you want to hang in and just provide feedback or just have the conversation again, just go ahead and stay on. So I'm guessing that everybody can see my screen. Let me see who else needs to be admitted. All righty, so we're all here. Cecilia here. This is just the same presentation just to keep us kind of like with a loose agenda of what we're going to cover today. The first thing we wanted to do was just to provide you some information. We have the CMS website. That is our training and resource for Drupal. So if you have any questions and concerns, please go to cms.colorado.gov. When I provide the notes, you will have a link to that as well. Again, the session will be recorded and made available to you. And just one little piece of housekeeping, just we want for you to make space and take space. But if you ask a bunch of questions, just make sure that you put those into the chat so that we can address them with the remainder of the team. And again, this is intended to be a conversation. So raise your digital hand if you have questions. We're going to make sure that we make time to pause throughout the conversation so that we can interact with you guys. This is not formal at all. This is just a conversation we're wanting to have, but just make sure that if you take space, that you make space for others. And this is a statement about rows and cards. I'm not sure if Dave is on the call with us today. Do you want to cover this one, Dave? Or do you want me to jump in?
I would ask Cecilia for your mellifluous voice to cover this today. And going forward, I appreciate it if you could.
Okay, now warning, I have a frog in my throat. So if it sounds all ridiculous, just pretend it's Channel Dave's voice. Alrighty, so the statement reads that the Tyler, Colorado CS platform continues to support the content management tool from rows and cards. While rows and cards functionality is no longer part of our Drupal core, the rows and cards remain supported by and used by throughout the Drupal community as a module. So not just us at Tyler, Colorado, it's just throughout the Drupal community of users. As such, Tyler, Colorado has committed to continue to support this tool on the CMS platform, and we intend to support its availability alongside our layout content type, which, as part of Drupal core, is the preferred and recommended tool as we continue to develop further features and enhance it. We continue to encourage content managers to explore layouts and to leverage layouts features when developing new content or redesigning existing pages. The layout builder block heading module enhances the site accessibility. It lifts design constraints and empowers site builders and content creators by allowing for the customization both of heading levels and heading styles when block types are configured and when block instances are placed via layout builder. The CMS team will inform customers of any proposed changes in rows and cards availability on the CMS platform with sufficient advance notice to enable those customers, y'all, with content in the rows and cards to adopt the use of the layouts as a recommended tool in the future. Now, again, you guys have participated in these training sessions. Many of you have taken advantage of the one-on-one sessions that I am able to provide to you. This is just a reminder that I am a resource to you. If you need to schedule an appointment, I will make my link available. Just make sure that you schedule time for us to get together to answer whatever questions you may have or provide clarity about features and functionalities. Okay. And then regarding the layout content type, we recognize that the experience with layouts has been challenging since the launch of Drupal 10. As a new addition to the Drupal core, it is not a mature feature as we wanted it to be, and how rows and cards currently is. And the issues and blockers users are encountering have made it difficult to learn and adopt the new content type. Now, we do appreciate your patience as we work to change this experience and make the layouts an effective pillar of the CMS platform. We currently have a dedicated initiative for identifying and resolving layout issues. This includes the tracking and addressing of the issues that you report to us through partner support, and it also includes our own resources. That's when we go and we create content with any iteration, any possible variation to identify those bugs, right? This is a priority for Tyler, Colorado, and we will provide updates as we continue to release these changes, and we'll include information about the layouts improvements in these trainings. For you to know, we have a release every other week, more so the first and the third week of the month. So we're going to have a release this Monday. It is the 19th of February, and it's going to be a combination of different feature enhancements and bugs that you guys have reported to us. Those will be made available on the platform release section of our cms.colorado.gov. So for today, we are hoping to show you the authenticated view. We're also going to create content. We're going to create a basic page and a layout, and we're going to see how those are edited in the media library and also from the web view. In addition to that, we're going to make sure that you have the ability to add your menu and also look at your headings, because that's feedback that we had from our partner support that we're going to touch today. So the very first thing is that when you access the website that you're working on, and you might be working on a multitude of websites. I know DOR has several website with us. We also have CDLE, who has a host of different websites with us, and DPA has upwards of, I don't know, maybe 10 to 12. So you just want to insert the URL for the website that you're going to be working at that moment. And at the end, you're going to do /user, and this will take you to the login page. There are two ways that you can sign up or access your website. Login is the preferred term. To log in, you can leverage your Google single sign-on. Most of the government happens to be a Google enterprise, so you can leverage your Google single sign-on. Alternatively, if you do not participate of Google, you can enter a user and a password combination. For new users, we ask that you create a new account. This feature will provide you with all of the elements to create an account. So this example is just to illustrate when you have a new staff member that is going to be added to the website, they will go through this process. Once they create the account, the entity project manager or a user administrator will then be able to add roles to the user account and change the status from blocked to active. So those are the two steps that need to happen when you're adding a new user. For our example, we're just going to go ahead. We're not going to register me because I've been here for 4 years. I'm just going to do user. And for the user that has already been registered, this is what the experience will look like. For the sake of the example, since most of y'all are a Google enterprise, I'm going to click on Google. It will pull up all of the different accounts that you have. I have a few for testing, but we're just going to use this one here at the top. Once you are logged in, this is your visual indicator that you are in what you guys call the back end. Okay, so there are a few things that are different from your Drupal 9 experience. You have, instead of the little drop of water, which was the Acquia logo, that is no longer present here, but you have these 3 options at the top. When you look at your little avatar and your user, it would indicate that you're logged in. From here, you could toggle off and on the primary menu, the admin menu. Now, from here, you could log off, you can edit your profile, or you can view your profile. Some user accounts, I believe in this Drupal 10 environment, only the administrator account has the shortcuts, but we have a ticket from the previous January 31st class that we taught that is not present for the content manager nor the content editor. So we do have a card for our developers to work on adding that shortcut feature to all users. Okay. Now, in addition to this shortcut, you have the ability to click on manage, and this will populate all of the different modules that you have access to. These modules are based on the assignment that has been given to you by your entity project manager. So for instance, if you're not a user administrator, you will not see this module here. The people module, in most cases, it's used very seldom. It depends on how dynamic your project team looks. If you have a lot of different people floating in and out of this website project, you may use this a lot, but for the most part, teams remain the same. From here, when a user does register, the status will be default blocked. You could go to the operations on the very far right and click edit, and here is where you could take all of the different edits that need to happen. For instance, changing the status from blocked to active and add the user roles. Now, there is a cheat sheet for user roles. If you need to visit that, I'm happy to do that offline. But again, when you are in the background and you hit the home, it will take you to your home page. Okay, so far so good. So when you are here in the home page, you will notice that you have your alert content type, your utility menus, your Google language block, you have your programmable search by Google, and you have the header. This is your navigation, your Jumbotron, and then we have rows and cards. Just a little hint, that Drupal training page that we just created is here, and you wanted to look at platform notes for the releases, they're here. The statement that we read earlier about rows and cards is located here, and any feedback, the good, the bad, and the ugly, you have a form that you could go ahead and provide us some feedback here. Okay, so when you click, tap, or select the content module, you're going to see the media library. Now, in the media library, you would notice that the default tab is the one for content. Content are the things that are native to the site, basic pages, layouts, articles, all of those content types that we could create in the website, right, on the platform. Here you have this pill menu that will allow you to add a new piece of content, but underneath it, you would notice that you have these parameters to sort the table that is beneath it. Right here is a list of all of the different content types with pagination at the bottom that have been added to this particular multi-site, to this particular website. Now, before we add a piece of content, you have the ability to sort what you already have by the content type, by the moderation state. Language is not applicable at the moment, but also by the authoring. So if I wanted to look at all of the pages that Cecilia or Carrie or Brian have added to the site, you can narrow down even further. This is when you are editing existing content. Okay. Additionally, this is a table, and the very first row is headers. So you can actually sort by title. All of these blue ones, the content type, the author, the status, and the updated. Now, the default sort is the most recent updated will show at the top. But again, this is just a table. You can manipulate your data so that it displays how you need it. If you're trying to locate a piece of content that somebody else has created because your assignment is to edit that page, you will find it here. Now, if your assignment is to create a brand new page, you will click, tap, or select this blue button right here. And it will show you all of the content types that are available to you. Now, the basic page is by far the most popular, but we also have the new layout builder that we added at the same time that we released Drupal 10. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and add a basic page. This is familiar to our experience in Drupal 9, with the exception of the editor. The WYSIWYG editor that was leveraged in Drupal 9 was the CK Editor 4. With the Drupal 10, we have now the CK Editor 5. So I ask that you click on all of these different features and that you familiarize yourself with their function. If you do have questions, comments, any feedback, do let us know. Many of you have already provided us feedback through partner support, but keep it coming so we can continue to blossom the project so that it's a beautiful experience for all of us. So again, a few things. These are your tables. I know it looks slightly different from the previous icon. If you're wanting to look at the source, the code, this is what it looks like. This is for your accordions. Now, in the past, we had an icon with the E for embed. That icon has been replaced by these two here. The one with the image and the musical note references the media library. The one with the image is for you to insert media from your device. Additionally, in the CK Editor 4, we had two different, very confusing chain links, one for absolute path, one for relative path. Here is a single icon to access, and you can add your links from here. Now, this is for the creation of anchors, and then we have Font Awesome here at the top. Styles is something that it's known we are improving. This is what we used to call buttons in Drupal 9 with the CK4 editor. Now, to add content, we're just going to add a sample text right here. And the only required field would be a basic page, which is the title. And you can enter whatever title you want in the basic page content type. This is going to create your node. If you don't want the title to be part of your URL, you can always go to the URL alias and deselect the automatic generation of URL aliases. And then you could just make this be whatever the naming convention is for your particular organization. So if you have a multitude of different departments with divisions within your department, you could just use a naming convention that will group all of your pages together. And I'm happy to help with that effort. But for the example, we're just going to allow the system to automatically generate that URL. And the second thing we're going to do is we're going to insert an image from the media library. The image that we're going to insert is this one right here. And then we're going to indicate that we want that image. This is when we use the insert media, which includes the icon for an image and the musical note. That's for insert media. From here, I'm going to get a return by clicking here. You see how it places my cursor underneath, and I'm going to insert an image from my desktop. And here you can see the differences between using the two features. The first one is pulling from your media library. So it is using the cropping that was provided for that image as it is in the media library. This one is coming without alternative text and with the original size. So if I wanted to indicate that this is a decorative item, then I don't have to insert the alternative text because it's going to read decorative item. And I can also click on the boundary of the image to resize it. Okay, so these are the two examples that we have for adding these images here. Now, where it says sample text, I'm going to just quickly go over how to use the URL to link external and internal. So if I wanted to link to something that we have within our database, I'm just going to say release notes. Because I know that there is a content type called release notes. So when I start to search, it will bring me all of the different content items that I have added that read release notes. Okay, now let me just take that one at random. If I wanted for this one to open in a new window, this is a question that we had in partner support. This was deployed in January. I actually think this was deployed back in December. I'll find the correct date, but you can have the advanced feature to add it, to add the target to open in a new window. And it's just a toggle. I'm not sure if you can see it okay, but it is just a toggle under the advanced feature for linking. Now, the only task that remains is to click there to make sure that you accept that task. And I'm going to say sample file. And I'm going to select this one and I'm going to link to a document. So I'm going to look at a document that I already have. It is the Lorem Ipsum sample document, and I'm going to select that particular media node, and I am going to have it open in a new window, and I'm going to click the check mark. Okay. Here at the bottom, you would notice that the moderation state by default is going to be draft. So if this is not ready for prime time and you're still working on it, keep the content in a draft mode and you will see a pink background. This pink background is a visual indicator that your content is in the draft moderation state. Now, from here, you can execute the change and make it a published piece of content. It is already providing you these options right here. Okay, so from the draft view, you notice that I have added that target open in a new window. And when I look at the sample text, it's going to take me to the release notes. Now I have a different window. Not sure that you guys can see this at the top. This is a different tab. Okay, so I don't have the ability to click back to my previous window. That's what is expected. That's what I asked. That's the behavior that I asked for this particular link. This one here is the link to that lorem ipsum file. And again, you see it is actually opening in another window. Now, one thing that I wanted to note is that when you are pointing to a media node, your user would need to have a second click to access the file. And I'll explain what I mean because this question comes up a ton. I don't know if Brian has answered this question many, many times, but the first one that we had here was pointing to the node for that same file. If I highlight this section and I look at this particular link feature and I start to enter lorem ipsum, you would notice that there's two options. In the previous example, we went directly into the media. So it's opening up the media container, and then we have to click on the media to access the PDF, correct? Now, in order for you to prevent that, what we want for you to do is to click on the file. Now, for this one, I'm not going to go into the advanced because we already have two cases that we have gone through, but I am going to click on the check mark, and I'm going to save here at the bottom so that I can show you the difference between those two. Alrighty, so this is when we're linking to the file and not linking to the media. Your PDF or your document will present itself instead of presenting the node where a client or an end user will have to click then on the PDF to view it. So this is a question that comes out a ton. If you click on media, it's going to take you to the node for the media itself. If you click on file, you will be able to display the file on the browser immediately without having to do that second check mark. Now I'm trying to remember if there are any additional questions. This one did not open target in a new window, so I do have my check mark that allows me to go, my back button that allows me to go back to my previous environment. And you will notice that because this is a published page, it does not have that pink background. Do we have any questions about any changes or any curiosities or nuances of the basic page with the CK Editor 5 that we can answer? Feel free to raise your digital hand or to pop a question in the chat. Brian, do we have any activity?
No, the only thing we have in the chat is just a comment from Danielle saying that she has never had the shortcuts feature, so we just need to take more time to make sure what's the issue on that front.
Yes, I realized that was something that rolled out in Drupal 10, and I believe it was only made to the administrator, but there is a card for Barry and team to look at. So thank you, Danielle. We have not forgotten. We actually are working on it right now to research how can we extend that, if we can extend that to the other user types that we have, meaning the content editor, the content manager, and the content administrator. So yes. If I click tap or select content, you will notice that that basic page that we just created together is floating at the top because the sort is defaulted most recently updated. And it has the authoring, it has the content type here, and it also has the title of the page. Now, if we don't have any additional questions, there's two things that we want to do before we move out over. So if you click on this link, it will give you the web view. This is your web view, and from here you could click on edit and you will have all of the different functions that you can execute to edit this page. You can leave a revision note, you can have relationships if you're leveraging related tags, you can insert a web form if need be. All of those features are exactly the same when you are logged in as an authenticated user viewing this page from the web view. Now, if you prefer doing it from the media library because you're searching for the item, you could just click in operations in that column and it will take you to the back end of that particular page, which is exactly the same. Okay. You can leave revision notes. The revisions are still the same experience that we had. Every single time you hit save, a revision is going to be created. The usage tab will indicate if this piece of content is referenced anywhere else in your website. It is helpful if you're needing to remove content from a bunch of different pages. You could use this usage tab right here. Alrighty, so we're gonna click, tap, and select here to the content module. We're inside of the media library. We're gonna click on content and we're gonna search for the layout content type. And I'm just gonna call this one layout. Alrighty, and let's do 14 February so I can find it and get rid of it. Alrighty, so this is the only mandatory field when you're creating a layout. It's the title. Now, again, if you wanted to, this is a little bit different because the aliases are not going to be automatically generated by the system. Here you have to enter whatever you want that URL alias to be. Okay. Another thing that is different from your rows and cards, basic pages type of experience is the moderation state. So your layout by default is a published content type. So if you are not ready for this to be consumed by your end user, make sure that you deselect the published before you save the item. So here, we're just going to do the same. We're going to just put sample text. And all of the other pieces of the WYSIWYG are the same things that we explored. Okay. When I scroll to the bottom and save, this is going to give me that pink background, which indicates that my page is not published. Now, if I wanted to build sections and blocks, you would notice that I have this menu here at the top to save my layout, as opposed to when we had rows and cards, those options were at the bottom. Okay, so with the layouts, your option to save your layouts is going to be on the top portion of your content. Okay, now here you will notice that this sample text is that block that was edited from here. This is the body of the page. However, there is this little perforated line, this little dashed line that wraps around that configuration section 1, right? If I wanted to add a new section, I will click on this plus sign, add section, and the dialog will pop up on the right-hand side, and it will allow me to determine the number of columns and the distribution of them. So for instance, if I'm doing a 2-column layout, I could decide if I wanted 50-50 or if I wanted this is similar to when we did rows and cards and we had half and half and then 2/3 and 1/3 or 1/3 and 2/3. This is the similar experience, right? So for this one, I'm going to do 33% and 67%. If I wanted to add a header that is a H2, I could do that. And let me just say, this is H2. And for the position of this particular title, I'm just going to leave it left, okay? And I'm going to change the color to slate, which is not black, but it's kind of like a deep gray. Alrighty, and then I'm going to add my section. And in my section, let me configure this again because I have a typo. H2, I'm going to scroll to the bottom and update. So this is my H2. Now I'm going to add a block. And for this particular block, I think I want to do my main navigation. Let me get my main navigation. That is my menu. And I am just going to leave it like so. I wonder if I want to put a little bit of a shadow in the back. A little bit of a shadow. And my main navigation will show here. Little slight shadow. We can make that deeper so you can see it. But on this block, what I would do is I will add one of these content blocks that have already been provided to us. So if I wanted to embed content, let me see if I have a little snippet of content that I could borrow from the web. This is the last session that we had. let me copy all of this. Whoops, there we go. And I'm going to go back to my content and I'm going to say the last training session. And I'm going to have it display the title. Okay. And then I'm going to display that there. And since this is going to be a video, let's not put any color because it will, I don't think that's the best display, but there is how you would embed a video or an iframe from somewhere else. Another one that might be beneficial if you have, I know some of the agencies have their address. I'm going to just go ahead and attach a simple map so that you can see how the map behaves here. So I'm going to add a simple map and I'm going to say, yeah, let's call it Tyler, Colorado. In the event that you guys want to have, let's have a coffee. Let's have a coffee, and then I'm going to insert the address. This is powered by Google Maps, and I'm going to scroll to the bottom. Now, if I wanted to add, this is a map, so I'm just going to apply a little bit of shadow, not to fight too much with the map, but this is how it's going to stack underneath. So we just added 3 different blocks, correct? But you would notice that this particular section has that perforated line to indicate that this is the second block, the second section that we have added. And this here is my first section. Now, one of the benefits that we have with the layout builder is that I could definitely take one of the blocks that I have created and I could just move them around. This might not be the best display. If I change my mind, I could just drag this higher to the first block. Let me see, let me make this a little bit smaller so that I can show you. I could take this with the 4-directional arrow and I could add it to the first section. And there is my block. So there is the freedom to move content between different sections, which wasn't afforded to us with rows and cards. With rows and cards, we had to recreate the row, add the cards, and display the content that way. But here, if I change my mind and wanted to put that block here because my project manager said, no, I don't like it at the top, put it back to where it was. It is as simple as dragging and dropping my blocks within the different sections. My navigation is here. I could decide not to display the title on any of these 3. To make those edits, I have the ability to click on this little pencil and configure. And from here, I could toggle away from displaying the title. I don't have to get rid of it. I just toggle off from the name, from the title, and here is the block without the title. Any questions thus far? Any other features you want us to demo? And again, this is zoomed out, so I'm just going to zoom in so that you can see this is the H2. These are the titles of the blocks. This one I decided not to display it, and this map has a little bit of a shadow around it, as does the block with the menu. Yes, I see a hand raised.
Yes, this is Danielle with CDLE.
Hi.
The navigation system in layouts, like this list of hyperlinks appearance is cosmetically unappealing to me. I would prefer that any nodes that I create in the layouts environment would have the same appearance as nodes that I created in the rows and cards environment. So if I were to add a side navigation, because we have on my website side navigation in almost every category of our website. So I cannot currently create a layouts node to exist alongside my current rows and cards nodes because I cannot visually format them to look consistent with my existing rows and cards nodes. So is there an initiative to make those, and see, this is another thing, is like the way that this looks in the published page is not the same as it looks in that layouts builder environment.
That is correct.
That is problematic. So, because I've noticed that, and this was something that I submitted a card for, like the appearance of table colors, etc. That issue was never resolved. So like the fact that we've got sort of a WYSIWYG with the layouts builder, but not really, like there was at one point there was no cell padding, things like that. So like, is there an initiative to make that side navigation look the same when you go, like, I don't want my user to know when they're going from a rows and cards page to a layouts page. So like, until those two node types can look essentially identical, I have to pick one. So, you know, that's kind of like my question. And also in a rows and cards page, the site footer added automatically. You don't have to physically put it on that rows and cards page. Whereas for a layouts page, you do. Is there an initiative to like not make the user go through that extra step of putting that site footer on that page?
Yes, and I think we were just talking about this last night, Dave, Alexa, Barry, and myself, about the continuity between rows and cards and layouts, because rows and cards and layouts are two totally different structures. So, and for those who may not know what Danielle is referencing, this is your side reference menu as it presents with the paragraph rows and cards. Now, layouts, being that it's a totally different structure, displays the layout like this. Now, we do have, I know you're calling it an initiative, but we do have already cards referencing that feedback that we saw in that ticket from you, to further style the reference block when it's calling a menu. Okay, but what we need to see is that the way in which the layouts displays the content is different from rows and cards. And luckily we have the director of design on the call, so go for it, Barry. You're muted, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Good morning, everybody. Danielle, thank you for that question. So as we are working on layouts, we are planning to have the left nav still part of the rows and cards visual presentation functionality. So that would be considered the apples to apples from rows and cards to layouts. So we are working on that because I agree, and it becomes visually, like you said, distracting and confusing, but it just doesn't really work in presenting content. It can be confusing, and it could be an accessibility mess with nesting and things like that.
Yeah, and Danielle, this is David. Additionally, just on that issue that you submitted, tables and basic blocks with darker background do not display with the field type and type colors. It's actually attached to a card that's supposed to be in our deploy on the 19th. So I say supposed to be, it's in QA review. It's on track for that. So I appreciate it's been a wait to have that addressed, but it's hopefully imminently addressed.
Okay.
Thank you, Daniel.
Cecilia, I just saw a hand up from Olga.
Yes, from Olga. Thank you, Danielle, for your feedback. We are working on it. Release notes are going to be available after our deployment, but hi, Olga.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
I had a question about the aliases. As you said, they are automatically generated in rows and cards, but not in layouts. Is there a plan to have them automatically generated in layouts?
Yes, I have a card in the development board for our software engineers to look into that, because out of the box, what you would notice here is that, no, sorry, that's your redirects, that there aren't any aliases. So when I save this page, the node is what is going to be presented. So that is
Right.
definitely something that we are working on. It is not for the February release because we have some accessibility issues and some layouts, but it's on the docket for our future release.
Okay, and for now, should we be creating those manually, or
Mhm.
once that comes out, we can just check that box then?
Well, remember, this is generated at the time that you create the node. So if you do have a naming convention, what you could do is enter that naming convention in this field. Alternatively, you could just grab the title and populate it into this field, and it will save it as that.
Okay. I
Now,
was getting some errors if I was adding too many breadcrumbs in front of it. So I was having some trouble with that, but I will try it again.
you know what, Olga? Let me know if you want for us to navigate that together. I know that DOR and agriculture have done that with me. So if you wanted to, just make sure you go and get my link for availability, and we could schedule 30 minutes or an hour to walk you through it.
Okay, sounds good. If it doesn't work for me next time, I will certainly put myself on your calendar.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Do we have any additional questions or feedback? We are way early, so you guys could just hit us up with questions. So.
There is one in the chat, Cecilia, from Jackie. How do you add an accordion file? I'm assuming that's just referring to adding an accordion onto a layout page.
Absolutely. So we're going to hit return here because I have that sample text. And again, we do understand that there is remediation that is needed for the accordions. It is on the WYSIWYG on the CK Editor 5, and we are working on the accessibility elements to this particular feature. But this little icon that does not look like an accordion is your accordion icon. So Jackie, you want to click there, and it will present you with the option to add a title and then to add content to the section. For the sake of the exercise, we're just going to say sample title. And then we're just going to enter here sample content. And then if I wanted to add a row, or I think you would call it an accordion section, right? I have the ability just by clicking on the boundary here. When I am in it, it will give me this little dialog that I can insert it above or below. So if I wanted to insert another row below, I could just say here, another title. And we could just leave it like such. Now, if you wanted to make links from within your accordion, you would notice that I could just highlight the section and I can apply the link feature. Alternatively, if I wanted to place my cursor here and insert a piece of media, I could do that as well. Oh no, it didn't do it. Where was I? Let me see if I can insert it here. If not, we have just identified a bug. Isn't that cool? Let me try it again. Oh, there we go. My cursor was in the wrong spot. Now, if I wanted to return, I could do this and I could then continue to edit my page. So let me see if I could just make this a little bit. Come on, powered by CK Editor. There we go. More content down here. Now, again, the publish is the default. So I'm just going to leave it to be published so it doesn't have that pink background. And you would notice that on the section where we only had sample text, now we have two sections of accordion, and one of them contains an image. If we wanted to have a break in between, what I can do is hit return and insert another accordion. And I'll show you there's a little bit of a break in between. Danielle has a raised hand.
My question's about something else, so go ahead and finish the accordion session.
Alrighty, so it was Jackie, correct? This is how we could leverage multiple of these accordions. Thank you, Danielle. Here, so you will see the different sections of the accordion collapsing. This is my paragraph, and then I have another here. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Jackie. And go ahead. Uh-huh.
I was going to say, there's a question really quickly in the chat if we want to get to that before Danielle. Are the accordions in Drupal 10 accessible?
There is remediation to make sure that that is one of the items that we have identified that needs remediation. So when I said earlier, yes, this is a known issue, and there is recommendations to enable the accordion to be expandable to improve its accessibility. But there is a card to address the CK Editor 5 accordions for our software engineers to work on.
Perfect. Thanks, Cecilia. I think we're good to hand it over to Danielle.
Okay, go ahead.
My question is about the media library. In previous builds, I think in Drupal 9, we used to be able to go into the media library and say, for example, if we had an image, we could edit that image and we could upload a new version of that to replace the file in a media node, so that whenever the wherever else that that particular reference node is on the website, it would all update at once. Currently, I don't believe that's possible because there doesn't seem to be a way to, like, if you were to click on, like, there's nowhere to like do that unless I miss my guess. Is there a way?
Well, let's have a look. So I took out my little pretty sunset and I'm going to put my sunset but out of office. And let me see if I could just apply the hero cropping.
Okay. All right. So this was a me thing. Because I didn't realize you had to remove it. I didn't even notice that remove button to upload a new version. Okay, good. All right.
Well, give me 1 second. I want to make sure that it edited on the layout that we just built, because I don't want to celebrate quite yet. Let's just make sure it did change it.
Okay.
And oh, this is Ben's. I have to clear cache, right? So once I clear the cache, it should replace the image with the one in the new node. This is my previous session that I have not refreshed. It's thinking. There we go. So the top one is the one that came from the media library, but the second one is the one that I uploaded from my desktop, from my device. Okay. So you will notice it does work. And it didn't apply the hero cropping because I just referenced it as a media item.
Okay, awesome. I didn't know the method to do that. So that's great.
Sure.
Thanks.
Anytime. Do we have additional questions or virtual hands up?
Not that I see. There's nothing else in the chat.
Oh my goodness. Well, that's impossible. You guys are always a chatty bunch. Anything, any feedback, anything? If not, I'll return 10 minutes to y'all. Or our fearless leaders could address the crowd. I mean, Dave, Alexa, Barry, do you have anything for the audience?
Nothing that's more valuable than their time to get back. But again, I do like to say every time, thanks so much for all your contributions to this, and I appreciate continuing to work together. We know accessibility and layouts and these issues are a high priority for us, so it bears repeating that we'll continue to do our best to work with all of you and others that you work with, to try to keep making sure that we're tackling this together. Appreciate your patience, appreciate your contributions. It's really valuable. So thank you. Ditto
to that. Since we have a minute, just for you to know, I created a layout that has all of the training sessions. The one from the 31st was extremely buggy. I just had it added this morning to YouTube. So this video will be available and added to this other page that I am referencing, but here is the link to my availability. Just to show you where we were, you go to cms.colorado.gov. You want to scroll towards the top where it says Drupal 10 training and support. This is the layout. These are the scheduled dates. These are the meeting details. You don't have to register for these. You could just drop in. And then here is a link to my availability. It's real time out of Outlook. I did want to apologize if two people requested the same time. I had to balance out and kind of shuffle your time around. That happens from time to time if two people hit me up at the same time. But again, here are the previous training sessions. And if you have any questions, any feedback, go back into the homepage of cms.colorado.gov, scroll to the very bottom, and there is a form where you could tell us how we're doing, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Personally, through feedback, I grow. I know Alexa is sick and tired of me saying that for 4 years now, but it is the truth. If I don't know to fix something, I can't fix it. So use this form. And the last thing I wanted to point out is that once we release on the 19th and everything is tested on the following day, I will have release notes for the items that were released. And we did keep 2022 and 2023. So you will see that there will be an additional February link here. And from there, you can see the tickets that have been released. And if these are things that you have reported, you will be able to see the things that have been fixed. I know this came in a previous conversation about having visibility as to what we are changing or what we are enhancing on the platform. So this is where you will be. I do have redundancies here if you need a website, tips and tricks, the feature request form, frequently asked question, and again here, the platform releases. That is all that I have for today. Thank you so much to the Tyler, Colorado team for your support in these training sessions, and thank you so much for everybody's feedback. Again, this recording will be made available to you, and it will be added to the CMS website. If you need to book some time with me, just make sure you check out that link on that page right here. It's Valentine's Day if you guys celebrate that. So happy Valentine's Day and have a wonderful rest of your week. Thank you, Brian. Thank you.